Gather around. It's time for the show to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, this is...
Hey everyone, my name is Jason.
Hi friends, it's Desiree Josen.
Alright, there were so many matches this year that were just too much.
So this won't be a shocker because we've had a handful of really awesome matches that we just can't stop talking about.
How many times have these guys fought? Like it's been quite a bit.
I've been saying this all year. They're just so great to watch. We saw the heel turn coming, and then when it happened, nice and bloody, both dramatic and beautiful.
You are now entering the ring with Chutes and Ladders podcast.
Chutes and Ladders, greatest WrestleMania countdown. What's going on, everyone? My name is Jason.
Hey friends, how's it going? It's Desiree Josen.
All right, WrestleMania is right around the corner. We are in WrestleMania season. We decided to count down the greatest WrestleManias in no particular order because that would just be way too hard. The order in which we list these WrestleManias, again, I want to stress this enough, are not necessarily a reflection on top to bottom. I actually went in chronological order for that reason, but what is your IT, Des?
I didn't even think to do it chronologically. I just listed it in my head of like my favorites, and then I know I can't do a top 10, but I do have a couple that are my all-time favorites, so I will preface those.
Which WrestleMania do you want to list first?
Okay, I'm going to go with WrestleMania 3.
Yeah, that's mine.
A lot of it is because of just the one match with Ricky Steamboat and Macho Man. When we talk about multiple in our episodes of favorite matches or greatest matches or whatever, I always bring up this one, and I think a lot of fans and a lot of old school fans will bring this one up just because of how technical that match was. But it wasn't just that one, even though that was pretty much one of the stars of the show, but it was also with Hulk versus Andre. And I enjoyed the one with Honky Tonk Man and Jake the Snake, and Alice Cooper was in that one too. So that one was a lot of fun.
Yeah, 100%. And what stands out to me, I think there's significant difference between WrestleMania 1 and 2 and going to 3. And they really brought it that year. Obviously, it was in Detroit. Hogan Andre, we still talk about that to this day. There's always the iconic stare down. Steamboat and Macho Man, like you said, one of the greatest technical matches we've ever seen. But the whole entire card was lined up. And I think that was the moment where WrestleMania really turned the corner.
Yeah. And can we talk about in the 80s, all of the wrestling crowds are like absolutely feral and insane.
Yeah, they are.
Those are so much fun to watch.
I'm with you on that. All right. So which is the next WrestleMania that you want to list?
I'm going to go with a newer one. It's WrestleMania 38. That one, it's because Steve Austin came back.
Nice.
And that's most likely why, but it was just exciting to see him back in the ring and stun Kevin Owens, who I can't stand. So that was memorable. And then, the return of Cody Rhodes,
sure.
That was huge. And, he is now one of the most talked about wrestlers right now, obviously. And then, of course, with the match with Bianca and Becky, we just talked about that in our last episode. So, yeah, that one is pretty cool.
Great choice for sure. I think that was in Texas also, wasn't it? Isn't that?
I think so.
That was part of the whole thing with Stone Cold?
I think.
Yeah,
I can't
for sure.
remember.
All right. Oh, great choice. I didn't list that only because this was way too hard and the other ones I had were just up there. Next one, I'm going to go with this WrestleMania 6. And it's just Warrior versus Hogan. Again, a match we talk about to this day. It was the first time I think we've ever seen like a title versus title. And they really set that up really well. The way they storyline wise, everything. And again, it was a WrestleMania that truly was iconic.
So much heat between both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's roll on to the next one.
I'm just staring at my list. Okay, I'm going to go with 12. With Brett and Shawn with the famous Iron Man match. I think that's always a match that's always going to be talked about and referenced. And I was telling you before we were recording, what other matches when we would research all of this, it would like ring a bell and be like, oh, I completely forgot about that one. And it was like just smaller matches where I was like, oh, I actually kind of like those. And it was like Diesel versus Taker because of just their size.
Yeah.
And I forgot Triple H and Warrior in my head. I'm like, when did that? I'm like, how did I forget about that?
And that was like a 10-second match or something, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. But it was primarily because of the Iron Man match.
So that's on my list. That's actually what rejuvenated me taking my love of wrestling to a new level. That was just a great year of wrestling. That was the NWO for NWCW, and that was, WWF. I don't care what anyone says. I think that the Shawn Michaels era when they kicked it off was awesome.
It was the best.
Right. So my next one, WrestleMania 10.
Yeah.
This one.
It's on my list too.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Way too many. I said this on when we went to the greatest WrestleMania matches. Bret Hart versus Owen Hart is one of the greatest technical matches I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. And obviously the ladder match with Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, that set up Money in the Bank. That basically created the idea for an entire pay-per-view concept that I absolutely love. And also the table, ladders, and chairs and everything like that. I mean, it was just on a new level, and it really did set a precedent. And obviously, I thought it was so cool that Bret Hart ended up winning the title at the end of the event. But yeah, there was just so much fire in that particular WrestleMania. So and it was in Madison Square Garden. They always up their game when they go to MSG.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Such a good one.
Absolutely. All right, let's go to the next one.
Okay, this one is just because this is one of the first Manias that I really purely remember as a fan, and that's WrestleMania 7. And it has one of my favorite matches of all time, Warrior versus Macho Man.
Yeah.
And I'll say it again, I've said it in probably 10 episodes. Sensational Sherry comes out, kicks Macho, and Elizabeth comes out of the crowd and they reunite. I love it. I will never stop talking about this. And then also too, it was there was the Hulk and Sergeant Slaughter match, which was huge at that time, very political. And then I remember Mr. Perfect and Big Boss Man, and that's when Andre came out and interfered and screwed over Perfect, and Boss Man won. And then even like the Nasty Boys won the tag titles from Hart Foundation. I don't know. That to me is just like one of my first core memories of Mania. So
I was very tempted to put that on. We only had 10, but yeah, I was very close to putting that on, but we couldn't get her so many. This is why this is so hard.
It's okay. Yeah.
Okay. My next one, WrestleMania 12. And here's the cool thing about this. I loved Diesel. Absolutely loved him. And I love The Undertaker. I remember when they set up this match, I was so distraught. I was like, whoa, this is crazy because I love them both. But like you just said, they're basically two 7-foot guys. I thought those was beautiful as far as like setting up this particular angle and storyline. The way they set it up with Diesel destroying his coffin, and like, and Undertaker was in the coffin, like a fake Undertaker was in the coffin, Diesel was in the coffin. That, everything they set up was just perfect. Obviously, Undertaker continued his streak, but yeah, and then what stole the show for the first time in WWE history was the Iron Man match. The fact that it went to a 0-0 draw was absolutely brilliant because, again, no one saw that coming. And obviously that set up the Shawn Michaels era. And the emotion that he showed when he won is just, I think that was just 100% him.
And I always picture him on the ground on his knees holding the title, looking at it.
Yeah.
It's, I love him.
Absolutely. So I had to put that on there. All right. So what you got next?
Okay, I've got 14.
Ooh, great wrestling.
This one is like up there just because I will never not stop loving the Attitude Era. And this was really what it was Sean versus Steve Austin, that big whole like media mess with bringing in Mike Tyson as the ref, Taker versus Kane. They did the battle royale kind of thing, and then Legion of Doom won, and then I love this match. It's the dumpster tag match with New Age
Chainsaw
Outlaws
Charlie?
and Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie. Oh my God. People still talk about that one. And it's just like pure Attitude Era or even the beginning of it. And it was just a huge spectacle from start to finish.
And it's well documented that when WWE got Mike Tyson involved, that's when the ratings war flipped.
Mm-hmm.
So that really drew a lot of buzz. I thought Mike Tyson played that perfectly. Everything as far as being the enforcer and then doing the pin. He counted a little too fast, but I mean, again, he's not like he's an actual referee, but everything was set to perfection. When he knocked out Shawn Michaels, wow, was that a fast punch. Holy goodness.
I just remember him shoving him and then Shawn just like falls back within seconds.
Yeah. Listen, Iron Mike can throw a punch even to this day. So that was hats off to Shawn Michaels for taking that. That's for sure.
Hell yeah.
All right, my next one, WrestleMania 20, and it was legit 10 years after WrestleMania 10. They went back to MSG. I know it's obviously wrapped in controversy, but it was so cool to see a guy that was stuck at a mid-card level finally take it to the next level, win the title. And the moment of him and Guerrero, of Juan Guerrero just embracing, again, any wrestling fan, all wrestling fans appreciate that. So, yeah, I had to put that on there.
Good choice.
Okay, rolling to the next one. Who you got, Des?
Okay. I've got WrestleMania 28.
I went to that one.
I know. Everybody, it's the end of the era match, the Hell in a Cell with Taker and Triple H with Shawn as ref. All of that was super emotional as a fan to watch, especially when they're walking up the ramp, hugging each other. I love every bit of that, but there was also the Rock and Cena match, which
Legendary.
was huge. And then another one that I enjoyed watching was Punk and Jericho.
Yes, I was about to say that.
I really, I go back and I watch that one and I was like, I actually like that one. Granted, it was, overshadowed by the other two, but, those are pretty solid matches.
Oh, yeah, that's on my countdown. Surprise, surprise. Speaking of WrestleManias I attended, my next one is WrestleMania 24. In the Citrus Bowl, my first WrestleMania. I just graduated not too long ago, and I was like, look, I'm going to spoil myself a little bit. I'm going to Mania. I actually drove to Orlando, drove back home. I don't advise that to anybody. If you go to WrestleMania, stay there.
That same night after it was over?
Yeah, I had to drive back because, it was not fun. But it was so worth it because I still get to talk about it to this day. Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair's last match, everyone was on their feet, standing ovation, him saying, I'm sorry, Rick saying, bring it. But also, thank God, The Undertaker closed it out in winning the title. And what's really crazy about this is The Undertaker, what's crazy about this countdown, guys like Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker and Bret Hart, they've been in so many WrestleManias. Of different eras, different storylines altogether.
Throughout the years, yeah.
But I think they did it right. I think they did it right by giving The Undertaker, letting him beat Edge, obviously continuing the streak, win the title. But yeah, that was actually a lot of fun overall.
That was such a good one. Yeah.
All right. Who you got next?
Okay. I wasn't going to put newer ones on here just because it was so hard, but I could not put 40 on there. A lot of it was the beginning of the Paul Levesque era and all the positive changes that has happened, and the boom of wrestling again. It's like we're making wrestling cool again. I guess I
Yeah.
heard that, and I'm like, well, it's always been cool. But I mean, I love how it's turned into this huge weekend spectacle. Even the changes of the arenas, where it's huge. It's pretty much tripled or quadrupled in size of the audience, and we're bringing in, music and celebrities, and it's just becoming entertainment overall. And it was the return of The Rock, the completion of Cody's story, just other really cool, like the women's match with Rhea, and the 6-pack ladder match, those kind of things. I just loved it all. And I was like, I loved the older ones because of the nostalgia, but 40 was amazing.
It's on my list. See, great mind, single leg, that's for sure. All right, my next one, and surprise, surprise, but I cheated, but I had to.
Okay.
But you'll understand why. We just talked about The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, etc. 20. I had to put 25 and 26 as one.
Yeah.
And mainly because The Undertaker versus, you could argue that The Undertaker Shawn Michaels WrestleMania 25 match was the greatest WrestleMania match of all time. I mean, it was absolutely just phenomenal, and it was so cool. I mean, years prior, Shawn and Undertaker, Shawn basically had 2 matches on him. He beat him at Royal Rumble, and then he also beat him at Bad Blood. That's when Kane came out, etc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they were in that Rumble in San Antonio where Undertaker got the win, but they decided to start an angle. And if you think about it, that angle was set specifically for 2 guys in their own league that were basically on their way out along with Triple H. So the fact that they did those, like he fought Shawn Michaels twice and then Triple H twice, I think that really, really, I don't know if they planned that from the get-go, but it just, the arc of that was just so cool. And we got to see legends, and obviously Shawn's retirement match at WrestleMania 26. So, I mean, everything that they set up, we already went through this to our greatest matches, but him saying, hey, end it, that was just, you definitely get choked up for that.
Yeah. I miss him so much in the ring.
Okay. Who's next on your list?
We've already talked about it. It's WrestleMania 10.
Okay, nice.
I mean, that one, I just go back and rewatch just for fun, and it's specifically for the ladder match for the IC title. That one is just so much fun, just because now we know that they're, really great friends. They were part of the clique, and just seeing just their chemistry in the ring, and it was just so good. And also too, Brett, the fact that he wrestled twice that night, wrestled Owen, and it was really cool for Owen to beat his brother and not always be Bret Hart's little brother. So that I thought was pretty awesome. And also, the fact that he went back and won the title with Yoke, and then everyone comes out and celebrates with him in the ring. Those are always really awesome moments to watch.
That moment when everyone came out, you knew right then and there that this is Bret Hart's era. Like, this is Bret Hart's time and to shine, and he did masterfully. So, and actually, speaking of which, one regret that I think the writers and just management had, if I had to guess, I think they regret not putting the title on Owen, because Owen definitely deserved it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people agree with that one.
Yeah, 100%. All right, my next one, we talked about it, WrestleMania 28. And obviously I went there, so it totally makes sense. Disappointed with old Sheamus, Daniel Bryan, but I thought it was actually cool that they opened the Mania, because when you open Mania, that's such an honor.
Yeah.
So the fact that they opened up with the world title match, Sheamus got the win. I thought that, again, I didn't like the result, but it is what it is. Kane fought Randy Orton, and that was the second match on the card. So it ended up being second. Obviously, look, Undertaker versus Triple H, the way they set that angle up with, hey, that Shawn's better than you, and that was just perfect. And again, sometimes we'll repeat ourselves, but who cares? The Rock John Cena setup to that match, the mic work, you could argue, is the greatest mic work ever for any wrestling promotion of all time.
You put both of those 2 hotheads together with the biggest ego. Oh,
And apparently they had heat at the time too, so that's what also made it fun. And remember, he said, "Look, I just don't like you, John." And that I think he actually meant that at the time. And
I think it was real. I think that was a shoot.
yeah. So, but it was everything, and it was set up a year prior. I don't think they've done that before, where they set up a match a year prior. So. Yeah. So, but yeah, I had to put it on there. So, all right, we're getting towards the end. Who you got next?
I'm going with WrestleMania 21.
Okay.
WrestleMania goes Hollywood. This one, it had really great matches. It was also the passing of the torch of the older guys to putting over the newer guys, so the newer generation. So it was John Cena versus JBL, and he won, and then with Triple H and Batista.
Yeah.
Just setting up these newer guys to be like the new era of champions, which I really liked. It was the first Money in the Bank with Edge being Mr. Opportunity. Shawn versus Kurt Angle, Trish and Lita, Stone Cold and Roddy Piper on the mic together. That was just pure perfection there. It's like Taker versus Randy. It was a stacked card, and yeah, I that's probably I don't like to do a top Mania, but it's part of my top 5.
Wow. Okay. Hey, look, you picked a Grand Slam home run for sure. That's a great choice. This just goes to show how hard. Because the thing is, if we actually dissected and went through card by card for each Mania, like we probably would rearrange this list many times. So, all right, my next one is WrestleMania 30, and I didn't like Undertaker losing. He was supposed to win. I had that on good authority, by the way. But I mean, look, I'm a Daniel Bryan fan. They almost screwed it up by not letting him in the main event. There was a lot of backlash, and they did. And the end of that Mania, all of New Orleans was doing the yes chant. They called it WrestleMania. That really stood out to me, and I just thought I loved it. And generally speaking, every 10 years, there's always a special Mania. So having the 30th one, I thought they did really well, minus the Undertaker match.
Nice.
All right. This is it. Who is your final choice?
Okay, I say I don't have a number 1, which I don't, but I think I could really say this was my number 1 and confidently, and that is WrestleMania 17.
Oh, wow. I thought you were going to say 5.
No, it's going to be 17. Reason why, it was a stacked card in my opinion from start to finish. It was Steve Austin versus Rock, the TLC tag match, Taker versus Triple H, the street fight with Shane and Vince, like Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle. They even did that gimmick royale, and it's just because I am raised in the Attitude Era. This was like everything in my head of those guys. But yeah, that I know it throws everyone off when I say that, but there was just something about this Mania I absolutely loved.
It's a very solid choice for sure. I will not knock on it because again, if you just list the matches, and all these were stacked matches. I mean, these are some of the greatest of all time. So
yeah.
Okay, my final one. You actually already discussed it. WrestleMania 40. I had to absolutely do it. And the Cody, I still watch the ending of that Cody finish. I mean, wow, talk about surprises. When the Undertaker came back, the pop was a mixture of cheers and oh, and like that's when you know you have the crowd. When you get the combination of the oh and the cheers, you by far you had them, because I don't think anyone saw that coming.
I was on my feet. I jumped out of my seat and was just standing there in awe.
Yeah, for sure. And there was I think I remember you and I were texting during that match. Yeah. Like Chloe's gonna win, and I did too. And like I'm not gonna lie, it's especially being our age, it's hard to stay up. But like I had to force myself, and I'm so glad I did. But there's always this little, because I read an article prior that week with Tommy Dreamer said, I think Roman Reigns is gonna win. I said, oh please no. So when Solo did the whole spike and Cody got pinned, I was like, oh no. But thank God they rewrote the plans of Roman and Rock, did it the right way, and it definitely paid off. So that's still one of the best finishes of any WrestleMania match I think ever.
It still gives me chills. I have a smile on my face, and it wasn't just like someone coming out on Roman's side. It was on Cody's side, and it was like a back and forth. Old Seth, like Shield Seth coming out, Cena. It was just pure chaos and just perfection. I'm so glad they rewrote it.
100%. All right, and what are your final thoughts?
I mean, I'm just really excited, and I'm just glowing right now because I just love this.
Same here. Yeah, that's you took the words out of my mouth. I mean, we're here, and I think it's only going to get better because Triple H is at the helm. So I think he understands the fans for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, that actually wraps up this stroll down memory lane. What do you think? Give us your list. Please DM us at the Chutes and Ladders. Like always, please like, share, and subscribe both on YouTube and Spotify. Once again, my name is Jason.
I'm Destry Josen.
All right, until next time, have a blessed day and a blessed week.
Bye, friends.
Chutes and Ladders. Follow us for more content.